Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers, and I'm looking this morning at an important book and an area of legislation that many of us are affected by. This is the book here. It's called The Law of Regulatory Enforcement and Sanctions. It's a practical guide written by Julie Norris and Jeremy Phillips. It's about 340 pages long. There's a useful index at the back, which you can see there. The structure of the book, very useful appendices as well, and the structure of the book has the very useful paragraph numbering at the sides plus the footnotes there. It's a light book, but it's a good one, and certainly one that I'm very pleased to have to review and to keep. You can see the sort of structure headings as well, the various civil sanctions and the various things that can be done. There's a review on the web and Flickr here by Elizabeth and myself, and we've given this the title, The Only Current Text Providing Detailed Coverage of the Regulatory Enforcement and Sanctions Act 2008, because that's what it is. Because any regulatory system requires a fair and logical system of enforcement and sanctions which are positively and consistently applied across the country. So this text, in our view, is directly relevant as the only coverage of the current Act available so far. And to this end, the regulatory and enforcement regime in the UK is now supported by a new legislative and institutional framework as set out by the authors, who both say that the primary legislation and the statutory guidelines and schemes which improve the flexibility, consistency and appropriateness of regulatory enforcement and sanctions are clearly set out and explored here, and I think they've done a very good job, because this is a controversial area without any doubt. So if you're a practitioner seeking to augment and enhance your familiarity with current law, this is the book for you, one of the latest gems from OUP. Absolutely essential in our view, particularly as it appears apparently to be the only text covering this Act. We feel the phrase a practical guide is both apt and self-explanatory as a subtitle too, because the guidance is invaluable to anyone affected by the new civil sanction regime. It's comprehensive, it sets out a whole series of things which we've covered in more detail in the review itself. Starting with an historic perspective of regulation and enforcement, the book's logically divided into three parts. Part one is the coordination of local authority enforcement, part two civil sanctions, and part three appeal and judicial review. Again, it's very much a contemporary book and deals with the sorts of problems we have in this second decade now, the 21st century. And from the few examples we've cited, you can see why this practical guide is of such immense help to the practitioner and academic alike in making some sense of the sanctions and indeed all pertinent aspects of the current regulatory environment, whether you like it or not. And I can tell you that the vast bulk of people I've spoken to do not like regulation and think we're over-regulated, so this is a book that really must be read. As expected, of course, the book does contain the useful sort of tables and everything that you would expect. It published, of course, this year, 2011. It's reassuringly as up-to-date as it can be, and is the only commentary as far as we know at the moment. So we're very welcome to obviously have this book from OUP, because it's an opportune publication and exactly what we need as we grasp with something that's not going to go away. So thank you to all concerned. Bye-bye.